Hi, I'm John from Just Whiskey. If you like today's show, give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and consider becoming a Patreon with the link in the description below. Remember, folks, it's Just Whiskey. Today, we are going to be reviewing something pretty cool here. I've been running my channel now for a little over 4 years, and this is the first occasion where a distillery has contacted me to send me a sample, first time ever, and it was Indri. And I've always felt a connection to them because I was one of the first people to review the Indri Trini, and it's one of my most highly watched reviews. And then I've also reviewed the Drew, and this is where I feel the connection. When I reviewed the Drew, I didn't connect with it right away, and I made note of the black foam that they used to use in their packaging, which smelt very toxic, very not a great smell. And I questioned whether it's possible for all those packing materials to infuse somehow through the cork or through the glass or through the top somehow. And the very next day after my review of the Drew, a representative from Indri commented about that and said that they're going to look into correcting the black foam thing, and he appreciated my candid review. I've also reviewed the 2023 Indri Diwali, which was all PX, and that was 60.5% ABV, and they made 444 bottles of that. So I reviewed that. So without hesitation, I said, sure, send me the sample. And so they did, and these two sample bottles, 50 mLs, come inside this sliding wooden box, and the two bottles are in there, and then this wooden box is enclosed in this cardboard box. So a very nice presentation. Nowhere on any of the literature that they sent me or on the bottles does it mention anything about chill filtration or coloring. However, these things are they're both 58.5% ABV. I seriously doubt they've been chill filtered, and I seriously doubt they've been colored, because the Indri Drew from 2023, there's quite a bit of sediment and haziness throughout this whole bottle. So I'd be surprised if they did anything like that, but they do not note it. So both 58.5% ABV. What's interesting, they translate that into UK British proof, though. So they're both 58.5% ABV, but they're calling it 102.4 proof, which is British proof, not American. And what we're going to review first is the Indri's Founder Reserve 11-year-old. So this massive angel share loss in India, massive because of the subtropical climate and the massive fluctuation in temperatures. So to get 11 years, and this 11-year-old is fully matured in ex-Bordeaux red wine casks, and the worldwide release on this is 1,100 bottles. I do not know what they'll be charging for those. And then after that, we'll be reviewing today the Indri Diwali 2024, and again, it's 58.5, and they made 4 casks of the Diwali. In 2023, the cask that I had was 22. Okay, So what they did was they released 4 casks of the Diwali, number 87, 88, 89, and 90. Cask number 87 it's an India exclusive, matured in PX. Cask number 88 is going to be released for just US and Canada, which this sample is not the US sample. Then cask number 89 is going to be for the UK and Europe, and cask number 90, which is what we have here, it says that it's scheduled for worldwide travel retail. So you have to visit your airports in order to be able to find what I am reviewing here. So if you see other reviews, take note of which cask that they are reviewing on the Diwali. I do believe the Founders Edition, Founders Reserve, should be the same cask make-up. But I do not know how many bottles per cask, but I do know the 2023 Diwali, the one I had was a total of 444. So, yeah. So that's interesting information. And I call it Diwali. That's how it's spelled, but I believe it's pronounced Diwali. That W is a V sounding. Yeah, and I've also, on my Patreon channel, reviewed a single cask of Indri, all ex-bourbon, which was phenomenal. And the only other Indian distillery, or for that matter, distillery worldwide that I really feel a connection to, but it just happens to be an Indian distillery, is Amrut, because I've personally met Ashok, the master distiller. His title has since changed, but he's pretty much running the show in Amrut. I've had the pleasure of meeting him at least twice, maybe 3 times, at events through my whiskey group, and very interesting person. He's autographed a couple of my bottles for me. So I do feel a connection to Amrut. But other than that, I've never been to Scotland, so I don't have a personal connection to with any people that work or represent the distilleries. All right, now it's time for the review. So I'm going to do the 11-year-old Founders Reserve first, and then we'll go to the Diwali, because the Diwali is heavily peated. So, so the Founders Reserve, 11 years old, 58.5% ABV, matured in ex-Bordeaux red wine casks. And in case I didn't say it, which I don't think I did, the Diwali, this one here, yeah, I think so. Yeah, so the cask number 87, I know I'm going off script here, but cask 87 from India is all PX. The other 3, which I talked about, so cask 80, 88, 89, and 90, they're all ex-Oloroso matured. Okay, so this one I'm going to review today is ex-Oloroso. 2023 Diwali was XPX. All right, back to the review of the 11-year Founders Reserve from Indri. There's a lot going on. It's almost every time I nose and taste it, I pick up different things. But you're getting anisey. You're getting some ex-bourbon notes. So I'm guessing that the ex-Bordeaux, maybe their second fill, maybe third fill. I don't think their first fill, even with the color. I'm not seeing really any red tint in there. It's more bronze color. So anisey, creamy caramel. There's a light cherry note there, honey. Cherry cotton candy. So there's some fruits in there. Some marzipan, maybe a little bit of pencil shavings. And one common, so with Indian single malts, they use 6-row barley, which is Indian grown 6 malt barley, as opposed to 2-row, which is grown in most of the in the world. But in Scotland, it's almost all 2-row barley, but 6-row barley in India. So that's the nose. Great mouthfeel. Honey, oak spice, ginger, marzipan, burnt butter, a little bit of spearmint. And depending on which sip I take, I'll get this wallop of peaches and mango. Very complex, a lot going on. It's got the sweet, the bitter, the sour, a little bit of astringency. That's all in there. The finish, hints of marzipan with maybe even a hint of cherry cough syrup, but just a hint of it there. Also, I'm getting chocolate-covered cherries. There's lots to explore in that one. The finish is quite long. I left a drop in there. I will score this at the end after I do the Diwali X Oloroso heavily peated. As far as the peat goes, I don't know where they source their peat from. However, I think it's probably Scotland, and it wouldn't even surprise me if it's Islay, because it's got a lot going on. So, Indri Diwali 2024. It reminds me there's been an Islay going on in there, an Islay peat. And I have no idea what the retail will be on this. I can tell you the 2023 Diwali was about $130. Very limited. They sell out quick. Very clean nose. You're definitely getting smoky peat. Reminds me of a Lagavulin style peat. Creamy caramel. Smoked dried fruits. Smoked kippers. Maple, brown sugar. Some burnt butter. Slight medicinal note. There's a little bit of funk in there too. Maybe a little wet hay. And there is some sulfur in there, more like a firework, like if you lit a firecracker. That kind of smell. But it complements. It doesn't distract. Palate. This is where the sulfur comes through more. That firework sulfur is very pronounced now on the palate, but I like it. It's sweet, sulfury, medicinal, very syrupy, dry oak spice. That marzipan is in there. Cocoa, wine tannins. It's a chewy malt. Chewy, yeah, it's very chewy. The finish is long, sweet, dry. Reminds me of a little bit of Lagavulin, and it also reminds me a little bit of Kilkerran, like their 8-year sherry. Some of the 8 years sherry that I've had from Kilkerran are a little bit too sulfury, but this isn't. But there is some sulfur in there. That firecracker. Not even a lit match, but more like a fireworks. Yeah, it reminds me of kind of on the Kilkerran side. Um, this Diwali is non-age stated. I have no idea how old it is. Um, very well done. Very well done. One more sip before I score both of these. Yeah, on the palate, you're definitely getting a little bit of sulfur. So if you're sulfur sensitive, beware. But it's very well integrated. Both of these have a decent amount of spice, ginger spice, oak spice on them. Um, hmm. Completely different. Before I score them, if you're a bourbon lover, an Irish whiskey lover, more of a bourbon lover, I think you'd really like this Founders Reserve 11 year. If you like Kilkerran, Isla, Lagavulin, Isla peated, that maybe like maybe a Lagavulin Distillers Edition. But the Lagavulin Distillers Edition, those wine notes are way more pronounced than what's in here. Um, but that's kind of the direction that it is. Completely very different. This is the second time I've gone through the run through on a clean palate. Um, and yesterday, okay, here, I'm just going to be transparent about it. Yesterday, I would have scored this Indri 11 Founders Reserve a 9 out of 10. I would have scored yesterday this Diwali um, probably a 7 out of 10. Today, for my palate, I think I'm going to say a solid 8 out of 10. Solid 8 out of 10 for this 11-year-old. And for the Diwali, that's a solid 7 for my palate, for my liking. I think others, if you really like that Kilkerran 8 sherry Lagavulin Distillers Edition, and you like a little bit of sulfur, I think that you would probably appreciate this a little more than me right now, but very well done. But I think I'm going to settle on 7 out of 10 for the Diwali and 8 out of 10. But yesterday it was like a 9 out of 10. So, but it's really well. So, a 7 out of 10 is very good, and an 8 out of 10 is excellent, something special. So I do think that the 11 is something more special than the Diwali. That's my palate. Your mileage may differ. I'm going to end it there. If you like today's show, thumbs up, like, subscribe, consider becoming a Patreon with the description and the below and the link below. And thanks for all the Patreons that I do have. Much appreciated. Hats off to you all, and thanks for watching. Take care, folks.